Ask Alec.
What's up, guys? It's Alex Torelli. Welcome to an episode of Ask Alec. Today's question comes from one of my readers, Jeff, who asks how I stay focused a lot during long sessions and how do I stay in good shape as a poker player, because the life is very sedentary and it's tough to be in good shape when you're sitting at the table all day, you're tempted by food. It's also tough to stay mentally focused. It's also tough to stay mentally focused. Try to say that fast. After like a 12-hour session. So fortunately, I've had a lot of opportunity to work on this, perfect this craft, because out of necessity, frankly. When I was playing in some of the big games out in Macau, the games would often go 24 hours, right? And there were private games or invite games, and yes, you're a free person, you could quit anytime, but sorry, don't mind the photographer. You could quit anytime, but if you want to get invited back, whatever, if you want to be, accepted in these games, you really have to stay the whole time and play all 24 hours. So these games would also start at 10 p.m. So it was difficult for me, who's an early riser, I get up at 6, 7 a.m., whatever, to be fresh at 10 a.m. and then be fresh for 24 hours. One epic situation happened where this was really the tipping point for me, where I realized, look, I got to get this stuff together. It was Valentine's Day. I was walking into the Wynn, and I was going to take the day off, right? I was there with my wife, whatever. We get up early, 9 a.m., and we're going to just go hang out and spend a beautiful day together in Macau, right? So we go out to dinner. We go out, I think Wingley or something. We go out to one of the nice restaurants at the Wynn, and we're coming back from dinner. Actually, we didn't go to Wingley. We went somewhere on the other side, and I said, Ambra, let's walk by the poker room, just because, it's on the way home. It's kind of like a ritual, whatever. So we walk by the poker room. It's 10:30 at night, and I walk by, and the biggest VIP in all of Macau comes in and sits down. And I'm like, fasten your seatbelts. This is going to be an all-nighter, right? So little do I know, I start playing at 10:30 on Valentine's Day, after I've been up for 13 hours, whatever. I'm kind of mentally not there too. I'm mentally, I'm going to sleep. I just had dinner. I'm out with my wife. I'm whatever. And I have to sit down, and now we're playing, 1,000, 2,000 no limit hold'em, US dollars. And it's fasten your seatbelt. Okay, I got to kind of shift gears. So not only is there that aspect of it, but there's also the fact that this game is going to go for a long time. So I sit down at 10:30 and I don't quit the game. Long story short, I don't quit the game until the 16th of February, which is our anniversary, by the way. At noon. So I played I was up for 44 hours. I played 36-hour session, whatever. I don't do the math, but an insane session, and every single hand was 1K, 2K or bigger when the game straddled and whatever. So it was extremely important to be high level mental focused, and not just when you sit down at the table, which is relatively easy, right? You sit down, you're motivated, you're inspired, you're excited, there's money, you're stimulated, whatever. But in the 36th hour, and so being in Macau and being exposed, this is one story, being exposed to these games really forced me to do it, right? So there's 4 things that I've broken down that I really think are the cornerstones of how to stay healthy, fit, alert, mental acuity, whatever you want to be, just mental champion. In poker or in business, whatever it is you're doing, any mental high performance game. So the first thing, of course, is sleep. I'm not going to talk too much about it. You've heard a lot about it. You should sleep 8 hours a night. You should understand what to do with your body. You shouldn't have caffeine after 2 p.m. Turn off technology before you go to bed, etc. A few hacks that you might not have heard is 1, try Sleep Cycle. It's an awesome app. It's $5, $10 a year. It's worth 100 times that, and it tracks your sleep. And you could also track amazing stats about your life, where you can see how these stats over time affect your sleep. For example, it asks you if you worked out that day, or if you had coffee that day, or if you ate late that day, and you could sort of aggregate this data to figure out which stimulants in your life affect your ability to sleep. That's an awesome thing, and I highly recommend you download that app. The second thing I found that really works well with sleep are for people that are on a poker cycle like me, where it's I don't necessarily have time to sleep 8 hours a night, or sometimes I have to be up at odd or obscure hours, or other times I'm just busy and I want to be more productive. I don't want to sleep 8 hours a night. I want to be up to do more things, whatever. So one of the hacks that I found works really, really well is that you can reduce your overall amount of sleep if you take naps throughout the day. So instead of sleeping in one 8-hour bulk, you can sleep 6 hours total if you break it up between 5 hours of consistent sleep at night and then an hour nap. You could also sleep maybe even less than that if you do 2 naps, which I've found to be extremely impractical, highly difficult to do, and I end up skipping naps, and then you end up being tired and perpetuating the system. What I found works best for me is 5 hours and a 60 to 90 minute nap, as long as I can get, and then I'm only sleeping 6 hours total, but I feel more rested. It also breaks up my days, so I can like do one thing in the morning and then take a nap and then have poker in the evening, and that's worked really, really well for me. So I highly encourage you guys to try that out on the sleep front. Awesome stuff, and let me know how it works. The second thing is diet. You've heard about this before, but the key things to keep in mind are just cutting out caffeine after like a certain hour in the day, like 2 p.m., because it makes it hard for you to sleep. But also in these long marathon sessions, I found caffeine to be actually a hindrance to optimal performance. It's great in like a 4-hour session where you just have to stay focused, but the problem is when you have the come down, you have to perpetuate the caffeine in order to keep you going. And yes, you could just say, oh, I'm gonna take caffeine for 36 hours, but like that's just not a long-term solution, because after those games I had in Macau, like I would have to get up the next day and then maybe play the next day for 24 hours, and you just can't like caffeine yourself with a friggin' walk around with a caffeine Ivey and just like stay plugged in forever, right? So it's not a long-term solution. And I'm pretty against things that don't like work in the long term. So I'm fine with caffeine for short sessions. I'm fine if it's like you're gonna be playing poker for 4 days, or you're gonna be doing something difficult for 4 days, like studying for an exam, whatever, and you just have to power your way through, fine. But as a long-term solution, I would like wean your way off caffeine, or just try and use it only in the morning before a workout or something like that. The second thing is sugar. Like if I could say one thing that you should ditch in your diet, I mean, aside from fast food and soda, which like you shouldn't even have in your diet to begin with, you should have already ditched that if you're watching my channel. But the one thing you could ditch is just like all forms of refined sugar. If you can make that one change, you won't have those like up and down energy spikes where you're like your blood sugar crashes and you're just like tired. And the other thing is eat lighter meals. So if you could just replace sugar, when people are like, oh, I have sugar cravings, what do I do? Eat healthy fats. So if you just replace sugar with like coconut oil, almond butter, avocado, just replace your empty calories from sugar with calories from healthy fats. It curbs your sugar cravings. You won't feel the need for those sugar things anymore. And sugar things is just ridiculous. I can't believe I said that. You won't feel the need to have sugar anymore. And that's a huge one. Right? So if you can do that, I think that's like a complete game changer. And the other thing is just eat smaller meals. Whatever you're eating now, you should probably be eating like 2/3 of that size. And if you just follow those 3 things, if you just follow those, like even those 2 things, if you just don't eat sugar and eat 2/3 of what you're eating, complete game changer on the diet front, right? So I'm not going to go into all the rest of the diet stuff. Those 2 things are huge. Number 3, exercise. You've heard this before too, but I have some hacks for these things that I feel like are unconventional. So one of the things that I do for exercise for longevity, because I need stamina, right? Like, yes, I could exercise to be like super big or like be a weightlifter or have like a 6-pack and all those things. And those things are great. And those things are results of sleeping and eating well and exercising. Sure. And I value those things. They're great. But at the same time, my goal for exercise is of course my health, longevity, but ultimately optimal performance. And one of the things I found that works the best for me is interval cardio training. So I talk a lot more about all this stuff in my course, 4-Step Poker. So check that out if you're interested in like really getting the nitty-gritty of everything I'm recommending. But like interval cardio training is awesome because it trains your body to be responsive to like being ready for action for a long period of time, right? So like if you do like 20 minutes of interval training, like walking on a treadmill or sprinting and then walking, or pedaling fast on a bike and then taking a minute off, that's a great way to do it. I usually do like 2 minutes on, 1 minute off, and I do that for 30 minutes. First thing in the morning on an empty stomach. It's also great to burn fat. That's like a great thing to add to your regimen. If you just commit to like 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, complete game changer if you're not already exercising. If you're already doing that, you want some next level stuff, awesome. But you're already doing some of the exercise stuff that you need to be doing. But if you get that stuff going, that's like a huge game changer. So I highly recommend doing that. 30 minutes in the morning, interval training on an empty stomach. You can look it up for more info. But if you do what I said, just like 2 minutes on, 1 minute off, sprinting, walking uphill on a treadmill fast, and then holding on to just kind of like get your heart rate down. That stuff is awesome for boosting stamina long term and just feeling sharper, right? The last thing is your mental game, and it's really like your mental acuity, right? Like what is sort of like the story that you're telling yourself at the table, right? What's going through your mind? What are your thoughts saying to you? And that's super important, especially after you lose a big hand, or when you're getting tired, or when you lose a big hand and you're getting tired. That's like the marriage of disaster, right? That's an important time to reinforce some sort of positivity or some sort of mantra, or tell yourself something inspiring or uplifting that keeps you going and keeps you focused. So one thing I like to do, and I tell all my clients this, I talk about this in all my programs, I'll tell you for free, but it's like a little hack of the version for free, is just like tell yourself something positive after every bad hand that you play, right? Like, find something that works for you, repeat to yourself something positive that you can just recenter yourself and refocus after every hand, because it's so easy, especially as you get tired and you start losing, your like mental acuity, you know, starts here and then it slowly starts to slip, and then 2 hours later when you've made a huge mistake or you missed an opportunity, you're like, holy shit, like, I just missed it, what happened? And now I'm like struggling to refocus, but then you're tilted and you already missed an opportunity and maybe the game's over or whatever. So just after every hand, make that a pattern and make that a practice to just tell yourself, look, I'm gonna focus on the next hand, I'm gonna play my hand the best way possible. I call this a power routine. I talk a lot more about it in 4-Step Poker, and I highly recommend you check that out if this is stuff that you're really trying to implement into your game and step up and really like reach that next level with your mental game in poker. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to my channel if you liked it, give it a thumbs up. I'm putting out a lot more content, and thanks for watching. Appreciate you hanging around, and take it easy. Peace from Corona del Mar in Laguna in Orange County. Shit, I can't even speak. See you guys next time. Cheers.